Welcome to Inspirational Stories from Impossible to I Am Possible. I'm your guest host, and I'm so excited. I'm Mia Sines because I get the privilege of interviewing Daniel Hill. Hi, Daniel.
Hello, Mia. Hello again. Thank you for being the guest host of my show.
Thank you so much for asking me. It's really an honor. I'm very happy. So, you've had this amazing life journey that we'd all like to know about. Can you please tell us how bad it got, and then we'll get into how you changed it and how amazing it became?
I grew up in a pretty dysfunctional family. That's fair to say. I had 4 years of counselling, trying to deal with that. But I ended up becoming quite ill. I developed something called ME, chronic fatigue syndrome, and fibromyalgia. And I managed my symptoms from about the age of 16 after getting glandular fever. And I was a very promising championship athlete. And everything just came to a halt at age 16. I had no energy anymore, and I had energy for everything. I was like this Energizer bunny. I would just do like, I was like Roadrunner. In football, you'd stick me on the wing, and I'd run too fast for the ball almost. I set records everywhere I went. I was county champion, and I wanted to become professional. And I was a real go-getter. I was a real achiever, and I would push myself. When I got glandular fever, I pushed myself even though I had the glandular fever in my system, the Epstein-Barr virus. And I just pushed and pushed and pushed to the point that I just collapsed. And I could never seem to ever get enough energy. I could never replenish the tank. And I was in this endless cycle. It was almost like trying to fill up, it's like trying to fill up a bath. You just don't have the plug-in. And so there's energy being drained constantly, and there's not enough water coming into the bath. So you're constantly living on reserves. And I lived like this for quite a long time. And I was miserable. I was depressed, but I managed to get through college. I managed to do a HND, which is just below a degree in leisure management. I'd been sporty, so I went into leisure. But I found out that after studying that for about 4 years, after about 4 days of working in leisure management, I couldn't do it. I got all my symptoms. I found working under fluorescent lights virtually impossible. And in my early 20s, I just didn't know what the hell was wrong with me. The glandular fever was back every time I used to stress myself. Or do things like work, and what the hell's wrong with me? And I'd spent a lot of money trying to get better. I saw various people. I saw an acupuncturist for quite some time, and I had saw people conventionally as well as alternatively. But it got to aged 30 when I'd managed to get some part-time work. I employed myself. Nobody would employ me. I actually got sacked from one job after a couple of days because they thought I was on drink or drugs, and I was like, no, this is my waking state. This is what I'm like normally. I try to hide it, but I just couldn't deal with it. It was just working in a shop part-time. What the hell's wrong with me? Why can't I even work in a shop? Why I can't work? I can't do anything. And when I was 30, or at least a month before I was 30, I contracted another virus that absolutely wiped me out, and I was left paralysed down the left-hand side of my body. I developed something called Reiter's syndrome, which is reactive arthritis. So I'd never had arthritis in my life, and suddenly I had it down the left-hand side of my body, and I had it in my jaw, called spook. I had iritis in my eyes, which meant the whites of my eyes completely went red. I had my left knee became twice, if not 3 times the size. I had a chronic fever and was very, very poorly. And so they hospitalised me for a month, and I was bedridden for about a month. And I had consultants coming in on 6-figure salaries saying, we don't know what's wrong with you. But I was put on a ward with other people with lupus, other kinds of autoimmune disease. And the man next to me had no arms and legs. He was very, very poorly with that. There were lots of other people with arthritis and lots of other kind of related illnesses. I was able to sort of say, like, there's a certain personality type here that are all in hospital, and they've all got, I noticed that all got quite a few issues. But I know I had, And I'd had 4 years of counselling trying to get rid of mine, and it hadn't really worked. And actually, when I was trying to get to sleep, one of the nights, I never took pharmaceutical drugs because I'm a highly sensitive person. That's something you might want to look up by Dr. Elaine Aron, but I'm an HSP. And so I've never really been able to take any kind of drugs, recreationally or pharmaceutically. I just get wiped out by them. But I needed to sleep in hospital, and I couldn't sleep because the guy next to me who hadn't got arms and legs and was very, very poorly snored. And so I had sleeping tablets, and I had one night, and I slept a little, and I woke up the following day with a chronic metallic taste in my mouth and a horrible sort of feeling, and I was very ill anyway. And I thought, I'm not going to take any more of those, but the nurses kept coming round and every evening, and I didn't take them, but I just saved them in my bedside drawer. And this was the last 2 weeks of my month-long stay, and by the end of the time when they released me, I didn't think I was well enough to go home because I couldn't look after myself fully, and I did have some help from some amazing friends. I'd saved up about 15 or 16 sleeping tablets, and I knew what those were, and that was kind of like an insurance policy. For quite a long time I just hadn't wanted to live anymore. I couldn't deal with the suffering in my body, and I couldn't deal with the suffering in the world. I found that increasingly hard. Come November, I was hospitalised in the June, come the November, I'd made a little bit more of a recovery, and I'd managed to go back and do a tiny bit of part-time work again, and it was killing me. I'd literally do like 2/3 of a day, and I would have to rest for 2 days and do nothing to be able to manage to get enough energy and enough ease in my muscles to be able to go out and do another 2/3 of a day. I was terrified I was going to lose the place where I was going to live, and one of my deepest fears was being institutionalized, because I knew that I had a lot of mental thoughts and programming that was going on in my mind that I couldn't shift. And I didn't know what to do, and I thought I was going insane. There was another part of me that thought, if I'm not going to go insane and be institutionalized, I'm going to be homeless, because I'm told time and time again there's nothing wrong with you. We do tests and we can't find anything wrong with you. And I'd had 4 years of counselling, and it actually, when I came out, I texted my counsellor to say I'm ready to start some sessions with you again, and it was really about managing my illness and managing my state. You know, this is an illness and you have to learn to deal with it. And I never came to terms with it, and I didn't want to ever come to terms with it. And I was told, really, you need to, you know, and I don't want to. I'm never ever going to live like this. If this is my life, I don't want to live it. This is not the life that I ever wanted to lead. And I texted my counsellor, and she said, I remember the text, and bless her, it's not at all her fault, but she said, there's nothing else I can help you with. I've been counselling you for 2 years, and she said, you're just suffering with fear. And I just remember thinking, well, I don't know what else to do to be able to overcome this. And my grandfather died, and I wasn't massively close to him. He was a good man, he was a good grandfather. But when I went to go and see him after he died, I was jealous. And I was jealous that he looked at peace. He looked like he wasn't suffering anymore. He'd had his life. He was 91 years old. And here was me suffering in pain, physical pain, in emotional pain, not knowing where to turn to. And I had this overwhelming feeling of, I just want to go home. I just want to go home. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be in this world. I hate this world. I hate my life. I hate my body. I hate everything. I just want to go home. And it was one day, and I was out at work, and I was in a lot of pain, and I'd had relentless thoughts of just end it, just go home, just end it. And it didn't feel like depression. It felt like, I mean, I do attribute that it was chronic depression, but at the time it just feels like a part of me that's just working for the best for me. It's just trying to end the pain, and so I remember it was just this peace came over me, and I said, right, that's it. I'm going home now, and I'm going to do it.